Chris Wilder looks like he's about to be sacked for Sheffield United. This is my instant reaction. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well. Like the content and give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, we did a video on Chris Wilder not long ago. I will link it up here at some point, of which you guys can go back. There was an immediate talk of Wilder leaving Sheffield United around about 2 weeks ago now, and we did a video on it, and your thoughts were absolutely interesting in the comment section below, everybody. There was loads of thoughts on that. Sheffield United fans, Sunderland fans, Burnley fans, Leeds fans, everybody was getting involved in the comment section below. Make sure you do that again. I find this one a bit mental from the Sheffield United side, and we're going to get into the different points of views going into this, but from the Sheffield United side, I have to say I didn't expect this. I thought it had kind of been pushed under the rug. It's happened before with Chris Wilder, where there's been talk of it, there's been speculation, but nothing has happened. They finished third in the championship, 90+ points, and lost the playoff final. Now, the similarities with Leeds United in particular is absolutely massive. You know, you look at the exodus in players of which Chris Wilder had to deal with when coming into that Sheffield United side. Daniel Farke came in and around about the same time when Leeds were in the championship. Leeds' first season, 90+ points, failed to do it at Wembley, losing by the single goal again. Obviously, like we just mentioned, the exodus of players. First season, can you build for the second season? Leeds gave Daniel Farke that extra season, and it feels like Sheffield United, the new ownership, COH Sports, have decided that Chris Wilder will not be this man. Now, there is the conversation of longevity, sustainability, loyalty as well. Does he deserve that second season after what he did in that first season? That is a conversation, but it is his second sacking at Sheffield United. He obviously returned in 23-24 season, did need to sustain Sheffield United and bring them back up, and had a good season, you would say. You had a really decent season for Sheffield United. Now, I look at this squad, think this squad is a very decent squad. Maybe it was the fact of what happened at the end with the 3 losses, the pressure coming on, the emotional pressure. That was Chris Wilder. It felt like probably the most emotional we've ever seen him before. I feel towards the back end of the season, normally when he comes into his own, it felt like the pressure got to him a little bit more. There was multiple circumstances of him, like we've seen before, not really being the Chris Wilder of old. You know, we've seen bullshit, we've seen passionate, but it spilled over a little bit, and that might not have been great for the new ownership looking at this. But I think there's a little bit more of an analytical approach here. I think the new owners at Sheffield United, the American company COH Sports, wanted to come in with a strong analytical background, an AI background, and it is said, if you read reports in around Sheffield United, they want to build a young squad, and they want a manager who is aligned with these changes. Now, does that mean that a young manager would need to come in? I think there's something behind that. You look at the managerial appointments that they're looking at when it comes to Gary O'Neill and Ruben Selles, and there's advantages and there's disadvantages for most. We're going to touch on Ruben Selles because he is the main guy right now, but it does, for me, maybe lean towards potentially Sheffield United going for a bit of a budget-conscious recruitment. Selles at Hull and Selles at Reading has been seen as a bit of a project manager. And I think that's something to take into consideration right now. Chris Wilder is experienced. He's well-versed on a lot of managers. I think there's going to be, if there is a managerial change in the championship, I think Chris Wilder is going to be a lot of which managers, of which teams, I should say, are going to look at in the championship. I think that'll be unequivocally clear with his experience at this level, and is probably elite level at championship level at second-tier football. But there has been a push for modern football operation with COH Sports. We've seen that already. There is a younger squad model which has been pushed, and then a manager who has been aligned with these changes. The bookie's favorite right now is Ruben Selles. Now, the speculation around Ruben Selles that he uses all of his match-informed decisions through data. Every single bit, he heavily relies on data-informed decisions, which is really interesting. And it aligns with Sheffield United's new owners, COH Sports' vision, doesn't it? Like we've just spoken about previously. Match prep, there's a massive focus on data as well. So maybe this is something of which is a reasoning behind that. And maybe there's a bit more of a long-term vision here. We know he's extremely tactically astute when it's come to Reading, when it's come to Hull, very experienced when it comes to in-game management and changing things around, which Wilder was criticised for not doing enough, or if he did do it, it was in the wrong situation. He didn't judge that situation right. A lot of evidence to suggest that Selles is very good at this. He's very good in a high press as well and possession-based systems. So there shows pragmatism there and a variance in his managerial skill. Now, you look at his previous experience as well. He steered Reading through administration, focused heavily on youth development, which is something to bear in mind, and tactical discipline. Managed Hull City, keeping them up with a really low budget squad as well. This keeps coming up when it comes to low budget, when it comes to potential cost-saving and project managers, which is what Ruben Selles has been known to be. Could this be his first break? I think it will be, and we're going to get into why that might be a little bit of a risk when it comes to Sheffield United. But despite limited wins, there has been a lot of positivity around Selles, and his system was credited with overachieving even at the heights of Reading and Hull City, given the squad depth that he had and given the tumultuous ownership which was at Hull and Reading, which was an absolute basket case on both counts. Now, Ruben Selles is a project manager, but he does fit in extremely well with ownerships who maybe want a little bit of involvement with the squad shape and want to be involved in football operations, of which you do feel with Chris Wilder that maybe he wants to oversee everything that's gone on or is going on when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to, I don't think it'll go this far, but squad selection, squad identification. And also, he is a manager who works with budget constraints and younger squads as well. Now, this builds a little bit of a picture for Sheffield United, and maybe this is why Sheffield United fans want to go down the Gary O'Neill route, but it does feel like the new ownership model, there's two ways of which they could go down this. There is the really ambitious route, of which is set in stone, of which we know, and Chris Wilder knows how to get out of the Championship. And there is a different route, of which is based on young players and potentially budget restraints, or it's just a more tactically astute manager who is better at in-game management and fits in with the modernisation that Sheffield United's new owners are trying to bring to the club. Now, the big thing here is its fan sentiment and legacy. Chris Wilder has got 2 promotions with Sheffield United. He's finished 9th in the Premier League, has revolutionised Sheffield United, and for me, he's probably their best manager ever, probably including, ahead of Bassett and ahead of Warnock. So this has to work, I think, for Sheffield United. And as the new ownership, this is a big move. Now, there are some Sheffield United fans who are not fans of Wilder, but I do think there is a majority who do love Chris Wilder and what he's brought to the side. And you do feel if you'd have given him a second season, don't get me wrong, there's the spilling over of passion. There is, the interviews which might go a little bit west when it comes to Wilder, but he does give you that edge. He does give you the edge overall, you feel, in the big games. It's not quite been this season. They've lost to Sunderland 2 out of 3 times. They've lost to Burnley twice. They've lost to Leeds twice. And that might have been the final decision, the final straw. You shouldn't be only winning one of those games against those 3 sides. So maybe that's the context when it comes to COH Sports. But you do feel overall, Chris Wilder does give you that edge. But maybe the new ownership just think the analytical approach is that edge moving into 25-26 season. Selles, the glaring thing here is his appointments have been short, they've been turbulent, and he's never had a top half finish. So this is a big risk. And you can understand why Sheffield United fans are a little bit wary with him being the odds-on favourite, because there's no experience there. So you're getting rid of Chris Wilder to align with your principles. But who would you rather have in a promotion race? Why is there not an understanding that you can't embrace the short-term nature of football? If you want to get rid of Chris Wilder in the Premier League, it would have been tough, it would have been harsh, but you can do that. But do you give yourself a better chance of going with Chris Wilder and getting to the Premier League as opposed to Ruben Selles, who's never had a top half finish? Now, a new tactical system as well from Ruben Selles will take time, and that's why they're doing it now. It's June 17th as we approach this, and this is evidently why in 24 hours, Wilder is said to be gone, and Selles, they're looking at an appointment very quickly. He's the favourite with Gary O'Neill in second. But Wilder maintained a very unified, loyal squad, and he's done this across several squads, not just this squad, and it was a younger group. And maybe they want a little bit of a different vision, but surely short-term, Chris Wilder for a second season, especially when you're trying to keep hold of the likes of Gus Hamer, potentially Vinny Souza, and El Ahmedhodzic, Michael Cooper, they'd be thinking, we want Chris Wilder to stick around. We don't want this turbulent nature of a new manager coming in and us not knowing anything about him. And they'll look at his record. The footballer's not stupid. They'll see exactly where he's been, exactly what he's done. And on the eye, it doesn't look great, does it? But this isn't just about next season. It's about a data-driven, long-term, sustainable, modern Sheffield United approach. And I think that's unequivocally clear if Selles does come in and Wilder goes out. I guess the problem is there might be short-term pain here. There might be short-term pain. This division is going to get a lot harder next season. Wrexham, Birmingham are going to be no slouches. I think Coventry are going to keep hold of the main crux of their squad. If they can keep hold of Jack Radoni going into next season and build on that with Frank Lampard. Obviously, we know Manning's moved on. He's moved to Norwich as well. Could we see a little bit of a resurgence with them? They've already brought in Harry Darling, which is an excellent signing. Got the likes of Ipswich coming down, who are going to be strong. It looks like they're going to keep hold of McKenna as well. You've got Southampton, who are always going to be strong in the Championship. Leicester, we don't know what's happening with them, but we'll have to wait and see. You do feel Leicester are still going to be relatively strong in the Championship, and there's always a few surprises as well. Next season in the Championship is going to be tough, and that's why I did feel, even though there are gaps with Chris Wilder, that maybe would have been the best decision for Sheffield United to stick with. I definitely feel more confident in Sheffield United getting into the top 2 with Wilder as opposed to Ruben Selles. But this might be the club accepting a little bit of short-term pain for long-term control and scalability. That's how it feels for me, because I don't think you're going to get an automatic, immediate result when you look at Ruben Selles, because, you know, if we look at experience, it's just never been done before. It's never been done. So is it strategically logical? It's emotionally risky, but is it worth that sporting gamble? I guess that is the whole question. And COH Sports, the American owners, have not been shy in some of their first big moves. Tom Cannon coming in January for 10 million quid and then getting rid of Chris Wilder, amongst some of the other big moves they made in January as well when it came to some additions. Ruben Selles, while being unproven in promotion campaigns, offers them alignment and control. But I think replacing a legend with a largely untested figure in such a pivotal moment in Sheffield United's current history is a bold move that will 100% define their ownership. That's absolutely certain. This is a huge move for Sheffield United, and it will do that for better or for worse, and they will be judged on this appointment. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Really interested to hear your thoughts on this. Is it the right move? Is it the wrong move? And who would you look at? Would it be a Gary O'Neill? Would it be a Ruben Selles? Would it be someone else? Is it right that they're going to get rid of Chris Wilder? Let me know in the comment section below, everybody. See you in a bit.